From the heart of Houston, it's fun, it's engaging, it's Chattin' with Chelsea. She's daytime's new bestie. Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards. Come back to me. I've got the feeling.
Hey, besties. Welcome to another episode of Chattin' with Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. You may remember a while back, we did a show all about self-care for caretakers, and we got such a response. We said that we would most definitely revisit the topic someday. So today is the day. We're actually going to pull back the curtain a little bit more on the quiet battle of caregiving. The love, the guilt, and even the resentment that can come with caring for an aging parent. We've got a therapist who's going to help us with all those feelings, and we also have an author who has a new book that explores the comedic side of it, all right? So to start us off with a laugh, this Instagrammer shows us what it sounds like when the child starts becoming the parent.
Hi, this message is for my mother. Not only am I one of your little friends, I'm your best friend. Not only am I your best friend, I'm your future primary caregiver. When I tell you to tell me where you are and why I don't have your location, this is not a game. I'm responsible for you. If anything were to happen to you, so I love you, but don't play with me. Love you. Call me back. Call me back.
My, how the tables have turned. We used to get those conversations.
Right.
Some of us are giving them to our parents.
Yes.
Especially you, Jay Williams,
Yes.
author of You Got 9 Minutes.
Yes.
I have to say it like that.
You do.
It is a funny caregiver's guide to
Raising your parents.
raising your parents.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So tell me how you became a caregiver.
So in June of 2023, my dad got sick with stage 4 lung cancer, just out of the blue. And I'm saying out of the blue because he was always so healthy. He just started to lose mobility all of a sudden, like sensitivity in his feet or numbness. And it turns out he had a tumor on his spine as a result of a mass on his lung. My dad had never smoked or drank anything. And so that's when it all started because he was, my dad is independent person, healthy, 74 years old, actually very healthy. And then all of a sudden it just kind of happened. And so that was June.
What were your initial thoughts when you found that out?
Oh, I was so fragile because I've never seen my daddy weak, like in a fragile state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was devastated, but ready to fight.
Okay.
Because I'm all about being an advocate, and and he was, being seen by doctors. His general doctor was very dismissive, and so I had to intervene, and I did.
Is that when really your role as a caregiver first started?
Yes.
You having to step up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and so he ended up losing mobility from his waist down, and so he was supposed to go to get a biopsy one day, and so we had to rush him to the ER. He ended up having surgery on the spine, so they ended up opening him up. Right. He was able to start walking again, but shortly after that, it just started to happen. It started to decline again. He started to decline really fast.
Yeah.
And so long story short, around October, my dad ultimately passed in November, but in October, like the end of September and October, I was with him every day because I was afraid. I mean, he couldn't speak for himself.
Yeah.
Like it really got bad really, really fast.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so just being an advocate, you know what I mean? In
Yeah.
that time, it was necessary for me.
Absolutely. So what did caregiving end up looking like before your father passed?
Every day in the hospital, literally standing outside of his room in ICU, asking them to come in and give him medicine. When I would come into the ICU, there was a lot of people that were by themselves. Right? And needing things. And I was the one to making sure that my dad was taken care of because unfortunately there was no support in ICU. It was interesting. You would be surprised, and it's unfortunate because like I said, there are a lot of people that don't have that.
Yeah. So would you say a bulk of what you had to do was advocating for your dad, or were there a lot of other duties?
Well, I did. The majority was that, but then also helping take care of my mom. I mean, my mom and dad have been married 54 years, and so she basically lived in the ICU room with her. So I was taking care of both of them because, I mean, that's her husband. She's never been without him, and she wasn't leaving him. So, but it was a lot for her as well. So I had to step in and just be there for both of them. So, yeah.
What was the emotional toll on you?
Oh, it was hard. And I say hard in the sense that it's hard to describe.
Okay.
I was very numb a lot of the time because I just couldn't believe this was happening. You know, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, here we are in such a short amount of time. You know what I mean? And my daughter was planning her wedding at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So then there was that.
So
There was that.
that's part of it. Like you're
Yeah.
still a mom as
Still
well.
very much.
While
And-
you're taking
and-
care of your parents.
Yeah. My daughter has had rhabdomyolysis. And so during the time, the final week that before my dad passed, she went into the hospital. So I was at a hospital in one side of town and was at the other, I was everywhere.
My goodness. All right. But you still, this is wild that you still managed to find funny in all of this.
I had
so,
to.
yes, we're going to take a quick break and
Yes.
then we'll be back with some of those light moments.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we'll be right back after this break. We're back with Jay Williams, author of the book. You got 9 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, you got to explain that part of the title.
Okay, so when I decided to write the book, I, after my dad passed, I talked to my mom every day, but not my mom, but having talked to other people who've had to be caregivers for their family members. We always talk about, old people talk about things like, who died and who's sick and who was at church and what they got to do and all doctor's appointments and medicine. And I said, you know what, you've got to summarize the call. It needs to just be 9 minutes.
Oh,
you got
okay.
9 good minutes to get it all out. You know what I mean? And then we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Because you have to, as a caregiver, you have to protect your mental health too. It's a lot, right?
It's true. So,
yeah,
you
that's
can't sit on the phone for an hour and a half
got
hearing
9
about
minutes.
all the upcoming funerals. That's
Right.
what you're saying. Okay, got it.
I'm glad my mom is not the person to talk about that, but it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What were some other, bright spots that you found during this time that you were caring for your dad?
Some of the bright spots were I was able to spend time with my parents. Like, I'm the oldest, and although I was the primary caregiver, technically the only one, I got to spend all this time with them that I didn't before. We're close, but holidays, Sunday dinners, that kind of thing. But I was literally with them every day.
Oh, wow.
So it was just different. And so I cherished that, the times that I could spend with them. Unfortunately, under the circumstances, but still, we had some laughs. We listened to music, and I'm an optimist. I'm always trying to pull them up and make them feel good during the time as much as I could. Because I was angry. I'm gonna be honest. I was very hurt and sad and angry all at the same time. It was a lot.
Who were
going
you
on.
angry with?
I was angry with everybody, honestly, but I don't want to say I was angry at God, but I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad was always the pillar of our family. He's the patriarch of our family. And all of a sudden this happens, you know what I mean? Like, why? What happens? Especially when you work and you live a good life. My dad was a Christian man. He took care of his family. He worked hard. You know what I mean? He ate well. My dad wouldn't eat mushrooms. He thought, I'm not eating that.
What? Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were there things that you found out about your parents during this quality time that you got to spend?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I learned that it takes a lot to be married to someone for such a long time.
Okay.
Okay.
Were they more frank about?
Oh,
your
very much
relationship?
so.
Okay.
Very much so. Very, very open about things. The love was there, but the irritation was too, which is a little hard to take sometimes, it's parents, but under the circumstances, you got it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there were a lot of funny moments. Like I said, when my dad got his diagnosis, I wanted to fight. So we turned on music, we listened to Israel Houghton, we were jamming out. I said, Daddy, we fighting or what? And he said, yeah. I said, all right, I'm with you. Let's do this.
Okay.
And although he did get his healing on the other side of heaven, he did get it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a long time. So I'm grateful that he didn't stay sick a long time.
How many other siblings do you have?
I have 2.
Did you have conversations with them about, them missing out on that time? Since you did become the primary caregiver. I know that's another battle.
Oh my gosh. It's so interesting you say that because unfortunately, in emergency situations, people show you who they are. And I'm going to leave that there, but bottom line is it was on me.
Yeah.
It was on me. Yeah. There was no support.
What was your dad's attitude towards the end?
My dad, I believe, initially my dad was I think he was in a state of shock, to be honest.
Okay.
But then he coded like midway, so they had to incubate him. So he wasn't able to speak. But I know my dad. And so he would look at me, he would write sometimes. And I think he was just afraid of what was going on. The idea of not being able to just simply sit up on his own was a lot for him, because he was a free spirit. My dad just, he just did what he wanted, and he was just a great person who loved to have fun with his family, and then all of a sudden now you can't even walk. You can't have a sip of water. You can't brush your teeth. You can't take a shower. Like, what?
Yeah. And how long was this time span?
5 months.
All this changed?
5 months.
Wow. Okay. What's the recommendation for other children ending up in these roles? Because it does happen often. For dealing with all of that, did you write? Was that your outlet for juggling all these feelings?
So initially, I wanted to write about the experience, because again, I'm upset, right? And so the more I started to write, the sadder I got, the more angry I got, and I know that my dad wouldn't want that, right? And he wouldn't want me to be upset. He would say, "Move on."
Yeah.
That was his thing. Like, okay, we know this is what we're dealing with. Let's just move on. What do we need to do? Let's wrap this up. That's what my dad would say. Okay. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to write about that. I'm going to choose a different path. And I've experienced so many antics with my parents and my other elderly aunts and, my granny and all that in the past. I'm going to write something funny about what, just the things that they do, the things that they say, some things that make you nod, some things make you laugh, some things that tick you off.
It runs the gamut.
It does. But at the end of it all, you're just thankful that you have the time, you know what I mean, to spend with them in spite of being exhausted.
Yeah, and you always get to cherish that. I mean, you recover physically, hopefully mentally and spiritually, but you do get to cherish those memories.
I do, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, you got to leave us with a laugh or a smile. What's another bright spot in the book?
Well, one of the bright spots in the book is just, for example, I'm pretty sure this is relatable to anyone who's had to deal with elderly people, but, just the idea of, like, for example, driving. I'm driving my dad to the hospital. I'm driving too fast. Okay, you need to stop behind the stop sign. Oh, you need to, the music's too loud. Just, those kind of things. Yeah.
The passenger
it's like, okay,
Prince.
yes, yes, I got it. You're safe, I promise. I just need you to ride, you know what I mean? Or just the thermostat challenges. It's hot in the house. Why is it so hot in here? Or the kids shouldn't run in the house because you're going to run my air up. That kind of thing.
All right.
You know what I mean?
We talked about role reversal, but it's also kind of taking you back to being young and having all that feedback.
Yes.
We get to have again.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
All right, Jay, thank you so much for the smiles and reminding us that there are ways to get through these things.
There are. Lots of prayer and just a little laugh.
Yes, I agree. So where can we find the book?
You can find the book on my website at jaywilliams.me, and it's JAIE Williams.me.
All right, we appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the therapist who's going to help us work through those feelings even more.
Come back to me.
It's time to chat about the resentment that nobody wants to talk about, the kind that comes with caregiving. So here to help us with that, we've got Dr. Kosha Joseph, founder of Safe Place Counseling and Consulting. This is a heavy burden. I know people who are dealing with this. So while you want to appear as the loving, caregiving child, inside you could be dealing with a lot of feelings of resentment.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the most part, we take on what we feel we're supposed to. And a lot of times when we do that, we're not in a position, so we don't know what it really looks like. It's easy to say, okay, hey, I want to take care of my family when they get sick, but when you're actually in it, it causes for a lot of different things. You're depressed, you're giving up parts of your life. And not only that, with family members that are transitioning, right? So you're having to see them in a declined state. So that's a lot heavy on your heart as well. So, and a lot of people do resent that because they're like, because I have to do it, I'm missing out on things because I have to. Your life is totally different, right? It's pretty much engulfed in the caregiving. And that is a lot. That's long hours, right? That's physical burnout, especially depending on what you have to do. And it's hard on your mental, you know, and when you have those mental deficits, it does affect you in other areas of your life. So the individuals that you have at home that didn't do anything are getting the flack for that.
Is there a way to prepare for all of this?
Not really. The only thing that you can do is shift. You have to be able to pivot in the moment and do what it is, because again, sometimes people get diagnoses. These things happen at the blink of an eye.
Right.
So you don't have time to plan, right? You have to figure it out. You're probably in the hospital for a couple of times, and then you have to get with other family members. Those individuals that don't have family, it's like, okay, hey, what do I do? And you're faced with the decision to do it yourself, or you're faced with the decision to place that person in a place where they can still get that care.
Okay, so how do we deal with this? There's a lot of emotions going on.
Yes, therapy is big. I've seen support groups being a very, very big thing, because you're talking amongst people that are in the same position that you're in.
Right.
So you're able to bounce off ideas. You're able to talk to people to just kind of discuss what it looks like. You're able to get like just little nuggets on what may make certain things better. It's a lot of family things that go on, you know, because sometimes when we step up to the plate, because we want to be the person to step up to the plate, we're angry with the people that don't step in and help us because we have that expectation.
Yeah, and those people may think, well, you got it. You stepped up.
You said you had it.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
we really can't expect anything if we're taking that on. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we're not having the conversation to saying, most of the time, we're not having a conversation to say, hey, I'm going to take on to this. You do this and you that, because of course we want to stand in the gap.
Yeah.
But it is hard because you have a lot of sibling dynamics. I mean, I've had a lot of caregiving in my family. I have an aunt that's been doing it for over 40 years. My dad was sick. I had uncles and aunts and grandmothers that were sick. Cancer runs in the family. So I've seen it. I've seen what it does to people. I've seen what it does to families. Wow. Right? And so it's really, really, really difficult. Everybody's mad at everybody because they're not doing their parts. You know, this person can't do it because they have a full-time job. You're not working. You have to do it, but you're still mad at me because so it's a lot.
So
it's a lot.
We do need to have those conversations.
Definitely. The conversations need to be had, but I feel like you have to take those expectations off.
Okay.
If you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do this, do your part.
Okay.
Right? And if a person doesn't, then they don't. Right? Because at the end of the day, you have to focus on the actual caregiving.
Yeah.
Right? You have to focus on that. And then we have to also realize that a lot of times our caregivers are still cognitively aware. They see the fighting, they see the stress, right? And that's why you get a lot of people saying, just put me in a nursing home. I don't want to be a burden. Because they feel that, right? They feel like they're a burden. I don't want to have anyone to take care of me. And even though we do have a lot of people out there that can't, there's still resentment because I had to put my mom or my family member in a nursing home. And then the judgment from everyone else, why you didn't take care of your own mom. They're not in your situation, so they really can't say what that looks like. So it's a real circle around what that resentment is. It can go both ways, doing it versus not.
Absolutely. All right, so we need to have these conversations.
Yes.
Hopefully we're also carving out time for support groups, therapy.
Absolutely.
How do you convince people to carve out that time to do that when they feel like they already have so much on their plates?
I think it's changing their mindset.
Okay.
Right? When you're changing the mindset of thinking that, because people feel guilty if they step away and do something for themselves or for someone else when they're supposed to be caregiving, they're feeling guilty about it. Right? And so it's really getting them in a state of mind to be able to step away without having that guilt. Because you need that, right? You can't be your best self with caregiving for someone else if you're not focusing on your physical and your mental.
Okay, even if it's just a few minutes.
Even if it's a few minutes.
Gonna be
You don't
your
have to
time.
visit someone. There's virtual support groups. Like when when the person you're caring for is napping or sleeping, there's things that you can really do in those moments. There's a lot of books and things out there that you can really listen to kind of get yourself in the mind state to doing that as well.
Any other ways we could help deal with that resentment?
I think more so talking about it.
Okay.
A lot of times I see people holding in a lot of things that they don't talk to families about. I feel away, but I'm not telling you I feel away. right? And so we're not having that open communication. We're not actually sitting down, because we probably can't in the beginning, but at some point, sitting down and determining what does this actually look like for everyone, right? And taking the fact to say, okay, hey, whatever it is that you can do, be grateful for what a person can do, as long as you're doing it together for the sake of that person.
So how would we encourage somebody? I would say even in the case of a spouse, a wife who becomes a caregiver, or a husband who becomes a caregiver, how do we encourage them to find some help or just have a talk to help relieve some of that?
They have to have someone in their corner that's feeding them that positivity.
Okay.
Right? Every time that they're spewing out the negative or they're thinking a different way, someone has to counteract that and tell them that, okay, hey, I'm going to come and do this for a couple of hours. Go and take some time for yourself. That's something small, right? It can be a neighbor. I'll come sit with your mom or your dad for a couple of hours and I'll do that. So you have to be able to have the right people around you that's going to encourage you to feed into yourself and get that help. Because if not, you're not thinking that you're worthy of it and you're not going to seek it.
And I love that. You're encouraging people to just step in and do it instead of just asking how I can help, just come in and help.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a quick break on that. That was really good. We'll be right back after this.
Come back to me.
Thank you for joining us for this episode on the quiet battle of caregiving. Jay, I want to start with you. Final thought for people to take away.
I just think that people need to just give themselves grace through this process, because at the end of it all you have is yourself. You know what I mean? And give your family grace as well.
Yes.
During the time, because it's not easy.
Not at all, Dr. Kosha.
I would say just throughout the process, keeping your heart pure. You know, we don't always get to choose our heart, you know, but we deal with it, like Jay said, with grace, and sometimes that's all we can do.
Thank you, ladies, so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Such great advice. You guys can keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox, and we'll see you on the next Chattin with Chelsea.